This was the week where a whistleblower behind the trove of internal Facebook documents went public and testified before Congress that a website that began as a place to rank girls is in fact harmful to girls and to kids and to parents and to parents' parents, pretty much everybody. My mom, for example, has not been radicalized by Facebook, but she definitely got caught up in like a face cream subscription scam, you know? So I just want to play a little bit of what that whistleblower had to say. This was very, very brave of her to come forward. This is former product manager Frances Hagen.
The documents I have provided to Congress prove that Facebook has repeatedly misled the public about what its own research reveals about the safety of children, the efficacy of its artificial intelligence systems, and its role in spreading divisive and extreme messages. I came forward because I believe that every human being deserves the dignity of the truth. The severity of this crisis demands that we break out of our previous regulatory frames. But there's one thing that I hope everyone takes away from these disclosures. It is that Facebook can change, but is clearly not going to do so on its own. My fear is that without action, divisive and extremist behaviors we see today are only the beginning. What we saw in Myanmar and are now seeing in Ethiopia are only the opening chapters of a story so terrifying, no one wants to read the end of it.
Cool. I always want to read the end.
But do read the rest of my document, by the way.
Yeah. That being said, here's all the documents. So that was pretty intense. And the analysis that I've been reading about this whole testimony, because like we've known that Facebook has literally just been a platform for authoritarians and misinformation and that they love that stuff. Not only did she prove that, but it seems like because she focused on women and children, that like the right is kind of paying attention. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So this is from Slate, and I wanted to read this. Quote, protecting kids online, which happened to be the title of this Senate hearing, is a pretty uncontroversial tone in politics or otherwise. The top senators on the committee holding the hearing, Chair Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut and Ranking Member Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, were on the same wavelength in their opening statements, focusing on Facebook's internal research, which set the tone for the rest of the proceedings. Senators lined up to talk about their own children and expressed dismay that social media is adversely affecting vulnerable users like teens. Even Republican Senator Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, both known for harping on the supposed anti-conservative bias on social media, focused their questioning on how Facebook targets harmful posts at certain users. Cruz couldn't resist throwing in one question on bias towards the end, almost as a wink to his conservative base, but he quickly moved on. Teddy. But it's interesting because it's like here you have, and I do feel like it helps that she's like sort of like a pretty blonde woman who's like not really talking about, she's not really making it political, but she says like children a lot, and she talks about women a lot. I don't know. What did you make of her revelations? Were they surprising to you?
Not at all. Not at all. I think what she's doing is a great thing, but not at all. If I were at the hearing, I would be like, excuse me, I believe that kids use TikTok. Grandmas are on Facebook. Like Facebook is for old people. I'm sorry, but like that's like the oldest. Like if MySpace was still around, you know, like Facebook is all that's left for the old people, you know?
Yeah, exactly. No, they don't even use Instagram.
No. So it's really like it's about our and our moms and our their mental health. Let's save the kids for a different conversation, but 100% what you're saying is right.
So basically they're referring to us as kids. Are we young now, Sammy?
We are. I mean, we're millennials. We'll always be kids. Yeah.
We will always have the bank accounts of children, just a little
exactly. Our little tiny little bank. Cute. Oh, yeah.
Here's a little bit more of what she said, and I have nothing but like agreement and respect for her because I've been in that Facebook algorithm game. We're in it now, but here she is.
Facebook knows that when they pick out the content that we focus on using computers, we spend more time on their platform, they make more money. The dangers of engagement-based ranking are that Facebook knows that content that elicits an extreme reaction from you is more likely to get a click, a comment, or reshare. And it's interesting because those clicks and comments and reshares aren't even necessarily for your benefit. It's because they know that other people will produce more content if they get the likes and comments and reshares. They prioritize content in your feed so that you will give little hits of dopamine to your friends so they will create more content. And they have run experiments on people, producer-side experiments, where they have confirmed this.
Times, so, yeah, New York Times. What's wrong with giving little hits of dopamine to your friends?
Right. It's like, it's again, agree 100% with everything she's saying, but it almost sounds like that was like a coaching session for people trying to beat the algorithm. Like, what you have to do is say the most divisive stuff. You get more engagement. And it'll give you a little hit of dopamine, you know?
I straight up have given, early on, because AJ Plus was an earlier adopter of Facebook videos. I've given some talks, although it pains me. I think maybe 2 sessions. One was in Austria, so it doesn't really count. Shout out to all the fans in Austria. Where I was like, look, if you want to get clicks and do well on Facebook, you need to make people laugh, cry, or puke in the first 3 seconds of your video. That's it. Otherwise, you're being scrolled past. And it's amazing. That's been obvious. But I think what she's saying is more interesting to me, which is she's saying their algorithm supports that. Whereas I think a lot of us are like, well, the human condition is such that we all like things that are terrible. And
Right.
it's a little true, but I think she's basically making the argument that no, it is their bottom line that's doing that. And that's going to get the eyeballs. And there's nothing. She kept on repeating something like it puts profits over the public and public safety always, profits over public safety. And again, we've known this. I can't believe, Sammy, I feel like maybe, I don't know if you have any more familiarity with the tech world than I do, but I'm like, even just the corporate world, how does someone like Zuckerberg, how's he still there? After all these scandals, don't you usually just you hand it to somebody else, you let somebody else step in? Sheryl Sandberg's also fucked up, so I don't know if she'd be a good candidate. But it's just amazing he's still at the helm.
He's a sociopath. He's that invested to this whole thing. Like any normal person be like, I'm going to get my money. I'm going to get out. Yeah. Bezos just stepped out, Gates stepped down, but Zuckerberg's like, no, I like this. It's we should be scared. I hate to bring astrology into this because I do it for everything, but he is a Taurus and it's a very Taurian trait of him.
Ooh, I am dating a Taurus.
Great guy. I love him. Love him. Great guy.
Yeah. But they are stubborn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess
if you look empirically at a lot of Taurus rulers, like Hitler was a Taurus, Saddam Hussein was a Taurus, very, again, Matt Lieb is the best Taurus ever to walk the earth for sure. But Zuckerberg is in the other category. Yeah.
Bro, that's interesting. I know I first of all, respect to the astrology. I was definitely saying this was all, we didn't even talk about it. This was the week where Facebook went down for a whole day. WhatsApp went down. And my little crystal ass was like, oh yes, Mercury retrograde and breaking up big tech. Yep. Here we go. It's all happening. Because did they even answer for that? I don't even know. I feel like they just they were like, oops. Anyway.
Yeah. They're like, don't mind us. But I think it's interesting how everybody wanted to know Zuckerberg's response to this, as if it matters. What do you think he's going to do? All he said was this doesn't even make sense. It makes perfect fucking sense. What are you saying? He's so invested in this. His whole mindset, he believes that Facebook is good for humanity. And we all know, every person knows that it is not, but we're all addicted. You can't get the person who loves cocaine to stop doing cocaine. Somebody would have to intervene at some point. But of course, that would be against capitalism. So what are we going to do? Right. So,
oh my God, my face when Instagram doesn't reload. I was on a plane all day, so thank God. But there been down. It's been down before, and I'm like, I don't want to see the same piece of sourdough bread. I just get it's very upsetting to me. I think the real thing, obviously, is Facebook. She did not say that Facebook should be broken up. She didn't present a lot of solutions, but she did say that there are solutions, that they know how to make the platform a better place for all people. They're just not doing it, and because there's no monetary incentive to do that. Of course, you always got to look at who's having a hard time with this news to know like who stands the most to lose if Facebook were to ever change its algorithm. And that happens to be not necessarily the senators who are on the committee, but Republicans who are making a killing off of Facebook, people like Dan Bongino and Ben Shapiro, who do incredibly well on Facebook. They're like the top performing posts all the time. So this is a scam, declared Dan Bongino, dedicating the first segment of his podcast to attacking Hagen. I'm begging conservatives out there, don't fall into this trap. It's clearly a left-wing op. Yeah. Fellow podcaster Ben Shapiro carried a similar tune. Any possible legislation resulting from Hagen's testimony would produce, quote, top-down tyranny, he said in a video, or top-down tyranny, posted to his Facebook page on Wednesday. Literally, I mean, this is like when Candace Owens was decrying Facebook on Facebook, and that was like the top post.
Right. Again, it's for older people who are angry. That's all. If you're old and you're angry, you're going to defend Facebook because you love it.
Yes. And if you're a right winger grifting off of it. But yeah, anyway, we'll see where this goes. I'm not holding my breath on this, but my God, at least there's it's beginning to dawn that this company has zero interest in actually making change. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.